Hello and welcome to another of the Acquire Group's Head Honcho interview series. I'm very pleased today to be joined by Aaron Canning, Group CFO of Blackmores. Now Aaron, we met back in 2006 if I recall, when you finished travelling the world and working for about 10 years with Diageo in sort of commercial, strategy and finance roles. You joined Blackmores just over 12 months ago. And I guess I'm curious to understand, since we first met and prior to joining Blackmores, what did your career take you through?
Sure. So, look, it's 10 years in between those two times. So I had a great run with Diageo around the world in a variety of roles. But I came to the point, as I suppose many people do, that you want to get closer to home, and so I made the decision to return from overseas and come back to Australia. But I also wanted to do that in an environment where I wanted to work for a listed corporate in a different industry. And at that time, property appealed, and I joined Westfield in a finance role. And so I had a great run with them as well for 3 years, and then having spent most of my career in consumer goods and a lot of my time in Asia, I had an opportunity to join Goodman Fielder in an Asia Pacific finance role.
Right.
Again, a good time with them through finance, then into general management positions, and then now into Blackmores as their group CFO.
Fantastic. And in regards to, I suppose you alluded to moving into general management from finance, that transition, with experience up in Asia Pacific, what made you assess then moving into a group CFO role, and why Blackmores?
Sure. Look, I was been lucky enough to give the opportunity to move from a finance role into a general management position, and it was always something I aspired to do.
Right.
And I was in general management roles for about 3 years, a little over 3 years, and thoroughly loved it. And but I then had the opportunity to look at another role into Blackmores, left my previous organisation, and I felt that from a finance perspective, I never had the chance to be a listed CFO.
Okay.
And when given that opportunity in an iconic organisation such as Blackmores, which has a great growth trajectory into Asia, I thought, wow, what a perfect marriage. So I joined, as you say, a little over a year ago, and haven't regretted it since.
Fantastic to hear. Now, many businesses are obviously pushing into Asia Pacific or have an eye on the prize. Perhaps they've saturated their domestic trade. You've obviously had two journeys in the latter few years with the Goodman Fielder Asia Pac role and now obviously Blackmores push. What are some of the takeaways from perhaps Goodman Fielder days and even in Blackmores around the challenges, the opportunities, the risks that you've gleaned from that?
Sure, look, they're quite similar in fact.
Okay.
Both Goodman Fielder and Blackmores have both been in Asia a long time, and Blackmores has been in Asia for over 30 years, although if you were to read the media, it would seem we've only been there for 5 minutes, but we have been there a long time, and the beauty of that is we've invested over a long period of time, we've nurtured our businesses in the respective areas and the brands and portfolios that we had, and Goodman Fielder was no different. And when we talk about Asia, Asia's not a homogeneous place, it's a collection of very diverse cultures and countries, each with their challenges and opportunities. And so we deal with each country in Asia differently. We did the same in Goodman Fielder. We ensure we've got local expertise in these countries. We do not flood our markets with expats because we want that local knowledge. And so a combination of patience, time, investment, and local knowledge and local partners have probably been the key successes for both Blackmores and also Goodman Fielder.
And if you were to provide counsel, if that was formally or informally over a beer with a peer, what would there be any sort of key takeaways you'd share over that beer with an individual around the do's and don'ts of trade in Asia?
In Asia. Look, there are many, and I wouldn't purport to be an expert in them all, but what I have learned over the time is be prepared for bumps in the road. There will be, particularly in emerging Asian countries, there will be some challenges that you come along that you don't see or expect. I think governance is key from a finance perspective. Great systems controls are key, particularly if you're quite remote from the geography and you're investing heavily. understanding the consumer and what they want in those specific locations is key as well, and don't try and take what you do in Australia or another geography, send it to another country and expect they're going to buy it, right? Yeah. So really take the time, invest, understand the local markets, understand the regulatory environment, the legal environment, and just be prepared to see through the ups and downs. And there's some great growth potential in the Asian markets. We're in it for the long haul, and we think we're going to do pretty well out of it.
Now, the last 12 months has been quite a journey for the Blackmores Group. Exceptional growth. Now, a lot of people would be envious of that growth, but as a CFO, I'm sure there are things that keep you awake at night. So
yes.
What are those that you've had to adapt as a business going through high growth? And second to that, as a leader, how have you had to adapt?
Sure. Look, I'll answer them in two separate questions. In terms of the challenges of high growth, look, first and foremost, from a culture point of view, Blackmores has been operating for over 80 years, been in Asia for over 30. And yes, our financial success of late has been well publicised, but we stay humble. We haven't changed the way we operate as an organisation. The culture of the place is the same. We're continuing to learn and understand and grow, seek advice from others who perhaps have been in these locations longer than we have or know more, and really be prepared to try and envisage an organisation of what we're going to be in 5 years' time, although that's difficult. But if we get a clear sense of what we want to be in 5 years' time, how do we take the steps now to ensure we're going to be successful in that period? You know, what keeps me awake and the challenges, look, supply, we've got a problem with supply in our organisation, so keep pace with demand and do that in a way that's sustainable. We do not compromise on our quality, and I think that's one of the things that Blackmores stands ahead of the pack on, quality and unrelenting focus on that. Some challenges we have around the regulatory environment. Some of these countries, the regulations change regularly, and your ability to adapt and take a different approach to that, particularly when you've got relatively large businesses, is going to be key. And we have got a lot of eyes watching us at the moment from a Blackmores perspective. We've got a share price that reflects that, and a number of people who are waiting for us to slip up. So that keeps us on our toes, keeps me on my toes, having plans in place to mitigate any risks, and just staying committed to our strategy in the region. Yeah.
Without being cliche, they're nice challenges though.
Oh, that's been said many times. It's been said many times. Sometimes you wake up in the morning, you think maybe not. But look, I think our time has come in Blackmores. 83 years young. The industry's had a lot of skeptics. The consumer is talking that they want natural health. They want a product they can trust. Blackmores is a product consumers are choosing. And we think that's fantastic. And we're going to continue to make sure we provide them that product and ultimately other products and services as well that fill that need.
Yeah. If I really dial back my memory, I think we probably rendezvoused around the Bledisloe Cup time, which is never good talking to a Kiwi about these things. But if we were to remember that conversation and perhaps you were to reflect on pearls of wisdom or tips that perhaps you, in hindsight, would have given yourself those 10 years ago when we interacted, what do you think you'd have done differently, do you feel?
Oh, it's interesting looking back. I think take more risk in my career. And what I mean by that is when opportunities present themselves in your career, I believe I took some, but there were some I didn't take that I wish I did. And particularly opportunities to develop and broaden your experience. So if you're in finance and an opportunity presents itself in an organisation to move out of the function, then I should have and would have liked to take more of those. Sure. And it's quite a safe path to do that, because if you stay in an organisation, they generally will look after you and bring you back to your function if that's something you want to do. So take a little bit more risk, continue to focus on your own development, because ultimately that's your responsibility, not anyone else's. And they're probably the two things: focus on personal development and a little bit more risk, particularly in the earlier part of your career. What have you got to lose? And I wish I'd done a little bit more of that.
think you've done reasonably well, so don't be too hard on yourself. Now, that's fantastic insights to hear. Now, I wish you and the team at Blackmores all success. I'm very privileged that I've been heavily training for an Anzac Day run, so I'm on the vitamins, and you're helping me on that.
Make sure they're Blackmores.
Yes, indeed, they are, so hopefully my well-being. But thank you, Aaron, for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Cheers.